Hi, I'm Shaman from Dolly Dimples Crafts, and today I'm going to be making a simple card using mainly stencils. And what I've done to start off with is I've got a folded card which is 6 by, no it's not, it's a C6 card, which is 1/4 of an A4. And the score line's here, and I've taped it around the edge on my mat. So I've got it on my mat and I'm going to be playing around with some ink. So we're going to start off with using some stencils, which is floral base, floral base number 052 and numbers 054, and square trio, which is number 53. So all our stencils come with little holes so that they go in our folders. So I'm going to take the trio, which is a square trio, which has 3 sections on here. Haven't cleaned that, oh dearie me. Which has 3 sections on here, with enough gap in between each one so that if you just wanted to use that, you've kind of got mask area there. So I'm going to start off with that to start off with, and we're going to just add a little bit of colour. We will have a nice little border around the outside edge if it doesn't seep through. So let's get cracking with some inks. So the colours that I'm going to choose today are going to be bright colours. So just decided this second. So we're going to use Abandoned Coral, and we're going to use Mermaid Lagoon, and we're going to use a Spice Marmalade, and I'm going to apply these with brushes. So we'll start off with the lightest of the bunch, which is the Spice Marmalade. And I'm going to choose to use this little section here. So I've lined my stencil up so it's fairly sort of straight on, and all I'm going to do is sweep that colour just down a section, not the whole section, and a little bit more going that way. Now I could continue it by moving the stencil around, but I just want a little section of it. Now I'm almost going to mirror that up a little lower down on the opposite side, so bottom corner, and bring that in with the same colour. So we've got it on a diagonal. I like to go from top left to bottom right and in a kind of diagonal shape, and then sort of mix her around. It just helps me make a focus area and keeps my eyes happy. So I'm going to add a little bit of that colour in the centre there. Now where I've got this ink on my stencil, I'll just move that ink to one side. I'm going to use my spritzer because I'm not going to waste that ink, and the pattern's going to match perfectly, the colour's going to match perfectly because it's what we've got. I'm just going to put my hand underneath so I'm not getting it on my work, and I'm going to spritz that twice, 2 fast pumps with the spritzer, and it's just water, and I'm just going to let it do its thing, and then I'm going to take that, I'm going to transfer it just to this bottom corner here. I'm going to hold that for a few seconds. Now you could take a piece of kitchen roll which will mop up any excess, which is pretty good. So we just grab that. Now notice that I'm leaving the stencil tilted up because I want to use that ink and I want to place it somewhere else. So we've got a faint pattern going on, but it's like the reverse of what we've got here. So I'm going to take the same thing, and we've got a little bit of space up the top there, and I'm going to place that down on there and do exactly the same thing. You get what you get. You never get like a perfect image. I'm using distress ink, so they'll kind of do the thing, but at the end of the day, this is just laying down a little bit of colour, a little bit of pattern on your cardstock there. That's a little bit different. I actually love using that for a startup layer, which I will do in another video. I'm just going to clean off my area so it's nice and dry, and then my stencil, always clean your stencils flat. So if you want to clean it straight away, that's really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another card, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer that ink straight down onto the other card and see if we can get any more. So we've got a little bit of colour going on there, and then I'm just going to use my kitchen roll just to dry off any remaining. So this is kind of going to be my mop up piece. We get what we get on there, but it's just some added background colour. So now we've got that going on. We've got a little bit of puddling of ink on here, and because I want to speed the process up, normally I like things to dry naturally, I'm just going to take off any excess with my kitchen roll so it's kind of a little bit drier. So now I can see it. I'm loving the pattern as it's kind of dried into that card. It's looking really nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the same stencil, and I'm going to use this one here, and I'm going to place it down. You see where this one has kind of finished? I'm going to go partially on it, and that's the advantage of using clear stencils. You can see through. Well, they're not completely transparent, but you can kind of see through where the holes are, so you can see where you're going to go. So what I'm going to use now is I'm going to go in with the abandoned coral. I'm going to pick up a little bit of ink on my brush with that. So I'll put the abandoned coral down. I'm going to start at the top and bring it slowly down. I'm going to add a little bit more ink, and I've just realised I didn't clean the stencil, and it's actually got some gold ink from a previous make. So luckily the gold is still on my desk. I'm going to bring that in because I'm going to add some of that gold later now, because I know that there's a hint of the gold in there. So we've got that coming. It's over the top of the other one. It's slightly darker, which is making the abandoned, the spice marmalade just kind of sit behind in areas where it's lighter, which is really nice. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of this down at the bottom, same as I did before. I'm working almost in that diagonal, but I want it to come, I think I want it to come a little bit higher up this time. So we're going to pick up some of that ink. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. So I'll make it a little bit fatter down here, just picking up a little bit more of that abandoned coral. And bringing it up nice, soft and gentle with your rubbing of your brush on there. A little bit like dusting in a way, but much more fun. Definitely much more fun. And we go and lift that off. I want a little bit of this pattern to come in. So I've got it here and here. I want a little bit of this pattern to come in with this, in between this area and this area here. So, and I don't want to actually fill the whole space. I'm not saying that that won't happen. So I'm quite happy with what we call white space. So, or whatever the colour of your card is. So we've got a little bit of that going on. Now, excuse me, I actually like that. One of the things is, if you like something as is, because I could just simply take a coloured in image and pop it on the top there now, that's cut out, or I could just stamp some words on it, and that would be it. Simple. If you're happy with something, leave it as is, but I am actually going to take it one step further. So at the moment we've used one stencil, we've used this one and this end of the stencil of number 53. So that's the square trial. So move that one to one side. I'm going to come in with the floral base, which is number 52, and it's got quite heavily floral images on here. I haven't properly cleaned that, so I'm going to have to be careful, but it'll be fine. And I'm going to add the mermaid lagoon to this now, which is really going to zing it up. Again, I'm not going to fill all that white space that's there, because I rather like that, and kind of a lazy way of crafting, saving your materials. But you'll notice that the small ones are like full ones, the larger ones are like corners or half flowers, which is great because you can decide which ones you want. If you wanted one down here going into this corner, you could use that one. If you wanted one at the side, which I think is what I'm going to do, you could use that one. You can add a little one. So I'm actually going to go partially over this area here. I'm going to take that big flower. Yes, I'm going to go for it. I'm take that flower and I'm going to line it up like so. Now, if you like adding pastes and things to it and your colours were darker and too dark, this is when you could come in with your paste and just add a pop of light to it. But as you can see, it's still quite bright. So I'm going to use the Mermaid Lagoon on this and pop it on my hand at the same time. And get my Mermaid Lagoon brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of colour. Now, if you want to tape them down, you can tape them down. If you've got devices there, you can pop them into fancy stamp presses, you can do that. I'm actually just going to hold the stencil flat, because if you've cleaned it flat, you can get away with doing this. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to start off quite dark in the centre here. So where I've inked up my brush, and as I'm starting to lay down that colour, by going over it several times, it's going to get darker and darker and darker. Then if I carry on around the outside edges, so I'm making bigger circles, this should fade out so that the petals are lighter on the outside edge. Now, if you've got heavy colour underneath and you want to disguise that pattern that's laid there underneath, then just add, like just in this area here, add a little bit more colour. Doesn't matter that this area is darker than this, and the same over here where I've got that colour going on underneath. There we go. So I still want that a little bit of shade on there so that it is kind of darker in the middle. So all I'm doing is adding a little bit more colour. Now you don't always have to tap to add more colour. You can simply just keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing, and eventually it will get darker and darker and darker, because there is ink on that brush. It's just laying down that colour. So let's lift that up and see how that is. How cool is that? Really, really simple. We could take a simple sentiment. In fact, I will grab a sheet that I've got here of some of our adhesive, this is our adhesive washer. Let's have a look. It could be our adhesive rice paper. Let me see what we've got. Yeah, so we have got sending good wishes on your wonderful day. So that could be a birthday, it could be, you know, an anniversary, things like that. We could add that in. Sending love and light, quite like that one. We've got kind of a circular flower going on, so we can add it in, but we have got squares as well. So a special wish just for you. I am thinking that I am going to go with the first one at the top there. So I'm just going to grab my scissors. Now this could be like an 18th birthday card and you've forgotten about it, oh dearie me, but then that's probably because you didn't get invited to the 18th birthday party. But you do have to send a card, and you just have to whip one up pretty quick. So just by using your stencil there and adding a little pop of colour, but leaving some white space, you can make an absolutely beautiful card. So I'm sorry, this is probably out of shot here. I'm just trimming this down a little bit, leave that. And I'm just going to peel that back. And then I'm going to decide, because it's transparent, I'm going to decide by hovering it over and seeing where I actually want it to go. And I think it's telling me I want it there. Now, if we put it straight down here, you will actually see, if we've placed it onto another piece of card and Matt and laid it up, that's fine. But if you put it straight down on here, you will see some of that pattern underneath. So if I put that down, like so, give that a good rub. Happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the colours that I've used and I'm just going to ink around probably just the two corners. Let's see how we go with that. Now I've got to choose which colour I'm going to use. Oh, decisions. I think we're going to go with the abandoned coral. Okay, because it's kind of like the middle colour, if you know what I mean, by lightness. So I'm saying that my spice marmalade is my lighter colour, the abandoned coral is my middle, and the blue kind of goes boom. So I'm going to take that, I've got a little bit of ink there, and all I'm going to do is where my masking is, it's not quite straight there, is I'm going to start on that masking and just ink into that corner there. Kind of warms it up a little bit as well. Just bringing that ink in there. Gently going down, adding more to the corner, and then gently going down the card. So it gets further and further each time, but keep going back to that corner. It'll make that corner darker and soften that line as it goes to one side. So now I'm going to do the same at the bottom. So just add a little bit of ink. And we're going to start on where my masking tape is, which is just here, in that bottom corner. And we're going to go up. Let's add a little bit more, because I don't think I've got enough on there. So in that bottom corner, and then you're going to go up the side, back to the corner, to make it darker, along the bottom. And then where this line, where there's no sort of colour there, just add in a touch to that. So back to the corner again, and up, and then back down, and then across. And as you're doing this, the ink that's settled on your masking tape, you're kind of picking it up. So you can almost see that pattern emerge in there. It's not too invasive. There we go. Now you could do this on all four corners if you wish, but I just like to actually do it in two corners. So a little bit of dusting back into the middle, so it's strong colour there, and then up, because this is the area where your eye's going to rest down here. So there we go. Right, let's do the reveal on that. Let's see how simple it is. I was going to add stamps. I don't think it needs to. I think I'm just going to take this one off. So take my masking tape off, peel that back. And that one. Be warned that you might have got ink on your fingers when you start to peel these back, so you might want to have a damp cloth at the side of you ready to wipe your hands on, and then that way you're not taking the masking tape off and sticking a dirty fingerprint on that nice clean edge there. So finally, this one. There we go. Now, I haven't used any stencils on there. What I have noticed is I've picked up a tiny little circle of blue up there. And, you know, we've got the flower, it's very pretty, and just one little dot of blue. And it's kind of just bugging me a little bit. So I'm going to, which I should have done this before, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the stencil up, make sure it's the right way around, yeah, because my ink's on that side. And I'm just going to add a couple of more little dots of that blue. So I'll pick up my brush and a couple of little dots of that blue, in there, so it doesn't look like one on its own. Can you see a couple there? And then down at the bottom here, just so it's kind of in keeping, I'm just going to add one, two in there. Let's have a look, see what that's like. Yeah, happy with that, I think. Yep, gonna have another one, and then I'm definitely gonna leave it alone. There we go. Oop, see, now we've got a little mark. So we're gonna place that one over, which sometimes if you use a smaller stencil brush, or mask off those areas that you don't want. So let's just add that little bit of ink in there. There we go. Great way of covering up dirty fingerprints. Okay, so that's my simple fast card, and this is for National Card Making Day. Now I was going to add some gold to it, but I actually don't think it needs that. I think that looks quite sweet, quite simple on its own. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.